The research vessel Star Wanderer drifted quietly through the outer edges of human space. Its small crew of 30 had spent the last 6 months mapping unexplored star systems, and Captain James Miller was looking forward to heading home. He sat in his command chair, sipping coffee from his favorite blue mug, when the alert sounded. "Captain," Officer Green's voice cracked with tension. "Unknown ship just dropped out of faster-than-light travel. It's huge, sir." Miller placed his coffee down carefully. On the main screen, a massive vessel appeared. Its hull gleamed with a metallic purple sheen, and its shape reminded him of a giant arrowhead. The ship was at least 10 times larger than the Star Wanderer. "Open all communication channels," Miller ordered. "Let's not make any sudden moves." Before they could broadcast a greeting, their communication system crackled to life. A harsh voice filled the bridge, speaking in perfect English thanks to their universal translators. "Attention, unknown vessel. This is High Commander Red Scale of the Greater Union Battle Cruiser Victory's Dawn. You have entered space claimed by the Greater Union. Prepare to be boarded and searched." Miller straightened in his chair. "This is Captain James Miller of the Earth research vessel Star Wanderer. We're on a peaceful scientific mission. We weren't aware this region was claimed by any species. We're happy to withdraw." Silence. The alien commander's voice boomed. "Our scans detect something disturbing aboard your vessel. You harbor a dangerous predatory life form. Explain yourself immediately." The bridge crew exchanged confused looks. Officer Green checked his instruments again. "Captain, I think they're picking up life signs from—" A loud bark echoed through the ship's corridors, interrupting him. Miller closed his eyes and sighed. Lucy, the ship's therapy dog, must have heard the commotion and gotten excited. "By the Ancient Ones," the alien commander's voice rose in pitch. "The beast is loose in your vessel. Your entire crew is in danger. This is worse than we thought." "Commander, I can explain." Miller tried to keep his voice calm. "What you're detecting is not dangerous. It's not dangerous." Red Scale's laugh was like grinding metal. "Our scans show a creature with sharp teeth, claws, and the biological markers of a meat-eater. You expect us to believe you've willingly brought such a monster aboard your ship." Another happy bark echoed through the halls, followed by the sound of running paws on metal flooring. "That's just Lucy," Officer Green mumbled. "She probably wants her afternoon walk." "You've named the beast." The alien commander sounded horrified. "You're either incredibly brave or completely insane. For your own safety, we're sending a boarding party. Do not resist. We will help you contain this threat." Miller stood up. "Commander, please. This is a misunderstanding. If you just let me explain about dogs." "Dogs? Is that what you call these monsters?" The alien ship moved closer, its weapon ports glowing with energy. "We've dealt with predatory species before. They cannot be reasoned with. They cannot be trusted. Your attempt to weaponize such a creature is a direct violation of Greater Union law." As if on cue, Lucy bounded onto the bridge, her golden fur shining under the lights, tail wagging happily. She carried her favorite blue ball in her mouth, dropping it at Miller's feet with a hopeful look. "Captain," Officer Green whispered, "their weapons are powered up. What do we do?" Miller looked down at Lucy, who had sat down and lifted her paw, one of her favorite tricks for getting treats. Her tongue lolled out in a doggy smile. "Prepare to be boarded," Red Scale announced. "Any resistance will be met with deadly force. For your own safety, we will eliminate the threat, and then discuss your violation of Greater Union laws." "All crew," Miller announced shipwide, keeping his voice steady. "We're about to have visitors. Remember first contact protocols." He paused, then added, "And someone please put Lucy's ball away before she tries to make our guests play fetch." The Star Wanderer shuddered as the alien ship extended its docking tube. Lucy barked again, tail wagging faster at the prospect of meeting new friends. Miller looked at his crew. "Whatever happens, let me do the talking. And please," he glanced at Lucy, who was now rolling over for a belly rub. Try not to laugh when they see our dangerous beast. The airlock cycled. Heavy footsteps approached. First contact was about to become a lot more interesting. The bridge doors slid open with a hiss. 6 tall figures marched in, their purple armor gleaming under the lights. Each alien stood nearly 8 feet tall, with scales that shifted colors like oil on water. They carried weapons that looked like silver staffs, all pointed at the human crew. High Commander Red Scale stepped forward, his head crest rising in alarm as he spotted Lucy. Nobody move. The beast is right there. Lucy, excited by the new visitors, wagged her tail even harder. Her blue ball rolled across the floor, stopping at the feet of one of the alien soldiers. That's your dangerous beast. Red Scale's voice mixed disbelief with suspicion, but our scans showed. This is Lucy, Captain Miller said calmly. She's a golden retriever, a dog, and she's perfectly safe. The alien soldier nearest to the ball took a step back as Lucy looked at him hopefully, her tail sweeping the floor. Sir, the creature is making threatening movements. Miller tried not to smile. She wants you to throw her ball. It's a game. A game. With a predator. Red Scale's scales flickered between purple and green. You play games with meat-eating beasts. Lucy, tired of waiting, did what she always did when someone was taking too long to throw her ball. She bowed down, rear end in the air, and let out a playful bark. All 6 aliens jumped back, weapons raised. Please, Miller held up his hands. Let me demonstrate. Lucy, come here. Lucy trotted over to her captain, sitting perfectly at his feet. Miller reached down and scratched behind her ears. Good girl. Now, shake. Lucy raised her paw. Miller took it gently, performing the simple trick that had amazed children on 100 worlds. The aliens watched in stunned silence. Impossible, Red Scale whispered. You're controlling it somehow. Some kind of neural implant. Officer Green couldn't help himself. The only implant Lucy has is the chip that helps us find her when she hides her ball under someone's bed. Would you like to see her training area? Miller offered. Maybe that would help explain. Red Scale considered this for a long moment, his head crest rising and falling. Very well. But my soldiers will keep their weapons ready. They marched through the ship's corridors, the aliens flinching every time Lucy looked their way. When they reached the recreation area, Miller opened the door to reveal a space filled with dog toys, a small agility course, and pictures of Lucy with various crew members. This is where Lucy spends most of her time, Miller explained. She's a therapy dog. Her job is to help people feel better. Job? One of the younger aliens asked, earning a sharp look from his commander. The predator works for you. In a way. Miller picked up one of Lucy's training treats. Lucy, sit. She sat. Stay. She stayed, though her eyes were fixed on the treat. Roll over. Lucy rolled over, tail wagging. Good girl. Miller gave her the treat, which she gently took from his hand. The young alien soldier lowered his weapon slightly. It didn't bite your hand off. Of course not. Dogs have been living with humans for thousands of years. They're our companions, our helpers, our friends. Red Scale shook his head. This goes against everything we know about predatory species. On our worlds, anything with sharp teeth is kept far from civilized areas. As if to prove his point about civilization, Lucy chose that moment to flop onto her back, paws in the air, making small wiggling movements in hopes of a belly rub. One of the alien soldiers made a strange choking sound that might have been a suppressed laugh. Commander, the young soldier said, maybe we should observe more. For security purposes. Red Scale's scales shifted to a lighter shade. Yes. For security. Captain Miller, you will demonstrate more of these training techniques. Miller nodded, hiding his smile. Of course. Lucy, get your rope toy. Let's show our guests how to play tug-of-war. Lucy bounded off to her toy box, tail wagging so hard her whole body wiggled. She returned with a knotted rope, dropping it in front of the aliens. The soldiers looked at their commander. Red Scale sighed. "Very well. Show us everything. But remember," he added, trying to sound stern, "we're only doing this to assess the threat level." As Lucy started a game of tug-of-war with a very confused but increasingly interested alien soldier, Miller knew the hardest part was over. Sometimes the best way to bridge the gap between species was with a wagging tail and a friendly bark. High Commander Red Scale stood in the Star Wanderer's meeting room, his scales now a thoughtful shade of blue. On the large screen behind him, images from his homeworld flashed by, showing a planet covered in vast plains of purple grass and towering trees with silver leaves. "You must understand," he said to Captain Miller and the gathered crew. "Our species evolved from peaceful plant eaters. On our world, predators were always the enemy." The screen changed to show a creature that looked like a mix between a tiger and a lizard. Its teeth gleamed in the image. "The Star Hunters," Red Scale continued. "They hunted our ancestors. For thousands of years, we built our homes in trees to escape them. Our greatest achievement was learning to build weapons that could keep them away." Lucy, who had been napping in the corner, lifted her head at the sound of a low growl from one of the alien soldiers looking at the image. Even now, Red Scale gestured at his soldier's reaction. "We carry that fear in our blood. When our scientists first developed space travel, we discovered that most intelligent species in our part of the galaxy were like us. Peaceful plant eaters who feared the hunters." Miller nodded. "That explains your reaction to Lucy. But surely you've met other species that made peace with predators." "Never." Red Scale's scales rippled. "Those who tried usually died. That is why our laws forbid any attempt to tame hunting creatures." He paused. "Yet here you are, playing games with one." The ship's doctor, an older man named Tom, raised his hand. "If I may explain, dogs are special. Humans didn't exactly tame them. They chose to join us." The aliens turned their heads in perfect unison. "Chose." "Yes." Tom pulled up some images on the screen. "Around 15,000 years ago, some wolves, that's what dogs came from, figured out that helping humans hunt meant they could share the food. Over time, they started living near human camps. The friendlier ones got more food, had more puppies, and slowly changed." The screen showed the evolution from wolf to modern dog. The aliens watched with fascination as the images showed how wolves' faces changed, becoming softer, more puppy-like. They changed themselves. The young alien soldier who had played tug-of-war earlier leaned forward. "Not through technology. Just friendship and time." Tom smiled. "Dogs learn to understand human gestures better than any other animal. They learn to love us, and we learn to love them." As if on cue, Lucy got up, stretched, and walked over to the young alien soldier. Before anyone could react, she put her head on his knee and looked up with big brown eyes. The soldier froze. "Commander, what should I do?" Red Scale's scales shifted through several colors. "Report your observations, soldier." "It's warm and soft." The soldier's hand twitched. "And it's making some kind of rumbling sound." "She wants you to pet her," Miller explained. "Try scratching behind her ears, gently." Very slowly, the soldier raised his hand. Lucy stayed perfectly still, tail wagging slightly. When his scaled fingers touched her fur, she leaned into the touch. "Oh," the soldier said softly. "Oh, that's nice." Other aliens in the room moved closer, their natural curiosity starting to overcome their ingrained fear. Lucy, always happy to meet new friends, gave each of them an opportunity to pet her. "Remarkable," Red Scale muttered. "In all our history, no one ever thought to just be kind to the hunters." "Sometimes," Miller said, "the best defense isn't a bigger weapon. It's understanding." Lucy's ancestors were fierce predators, yes, but they learned that cooperation was better than conflict, that love was better than fear. Red Scale watched his soldiers, now completely captivated by Lucy's trick of rolling over for belly rubs. Perhaps we have more to learn from humans than we thought. The meeting room's door chimed. The ship's cook entered with a tray. Sorry to interrupt, but it's Lucy's dinner time. At the word dinner, Lucy's ears perked up. She trotted over to her food bowl, sat down politely, and waited. Red Scale watched as she gently ate her food, not a single growl or snap. Captain Miller, he said finally, I believe we need to revise some of our assumptions about predatory species, and perhaps some of our laws as well. The young soldier, still smiling from petting Lucy, spoke up. Commander, could we maybe get one for our ship? Red Scale's scales turned a new color, one that humans would later learn meant amused resignation. One step at a time, soldier, one step at a time. The lights on the Star Wanderer flickered once, twice, then plunged the ship into darkness. Emergency red lighting kicked in moments later, casting everything in a dim crimson glow. Status report. Captain Miller called out, steadying himself as the ship shuddered. Officer Green's fingers flew across his console. Power surge in the engine room, sir. Something's wrong with the main reactor. We're losing power to multiple sections. High Commander Red Scale, who had been observing bridge operations, moved closer to the main screen. Your ship's power core is unstable. Before Miller could answer, a massive bang echoed through the ship. The deck plates trembled beneath their feet. Engineering team, report. Miller called over the comm. Static answered him. Lucy, who had been dozing near Miller's chair, was now fully alert, her ears perked forward. She let out a low whine. Life support is failing in engineering, Officer Green announced, his voice tense. Reading high levels of toxic gas. The safety doors have sealed automatically. There are 4 crew members trapped inside. The young alien soldier who had grown fond of Lucy stepped forward. We have emergency breathing gear on our ship. We cooled. No, Red Scale cut him off. The radiation levels are too high. It would be suicide. Miller looked at his readings. The commander was right. The engineering section was flooded with both toxic gas and radiation. The emergency systems were trying to vent the area, but something was wrong with the controls. Lucy stood up, her nose in the air, sniffing. She walked to the bridge door and looked back at the humans, barking once. Captain, the ship's doctor spoke up from his station. Lucy's search and rescue training. Absolutely not, Red Scale interrupted. You can't seriously be considering sending the animal in there. Miller looked at Lucy, then at his readings. The trapped engineers had maybe 20 minutes of air left. The radiation wasn't immediately lethal, but it would be dangerous with prolonged exposure. Lucy has radiation-shielded gear, the doctor explained quickly. We developed it for just this kind of emergency. Her suit has a built-in camera and sensors. She can find the crew and lead us to them. Red Scale's scales shifted to a deep purple of concern. But the gas. Her mask filters everything, Miller said, already moving to a storage locker. He pulled out what looked like a slim silver suit and mask designed for a dog. Lucy, gear up. Lucy trotted over, standing perfectly still as Miller quickly put her safety suit on. She'd done this in dozens of drills. The mask fitted snugly over her snout, its filters humming softly. The suit covered her body, its special fabric designed to shield against radiation while staying flexible enough for her to move easily. I don't understand, the young alien soldier said. Why would she risk herself for others? Because that's what dogs do, Miller replied, checking Lucy's suit seals. They protect their pack. And everyone on this ship is her pack. Lucy barked again, the sound muffled by her mask. Her tail wagged, ready to work. Sending a predator to save prey, Red Scale mused. This goes against everything we believe. Sometimes, Miller said, you have to trust. He knelt beside Lucy. Find them, girl. Find our people. Lucy bounded toward the emergency access tunnel, the only way into engineering that wasn't completely sealed. The tunnel was too small for humans or aliens, but perfect for a dog. Everyone crowded around the main screen as Lucy's camera activated. They watched through her eyes as she navigated the narrow space, her sensors feeding back data about radiation and gas levels. There, Officer Green pointed. Through the camera, they could see a huddled group of engineers trapped behind some fallen equipment. The crew had their emergency breathing masks on, but those wouldn't last much longer. Lucy barked, letting the engineers know help was coming. Even through their masks, everyone could see their relief as they recognized her. She found them, the young alien soldier whispered. But how can she help? As if answering him, Lucy began searching the area. Her camera showed her examining different routes, testing surfaces with her paws. Finally, she found what she was looking for. A maintenance tunnel that hadn't been sealed, one that the crew could crawl through to safety. "Good girl," Miller called over the comm. "Show them the way." Through Lucy's camera, they watched as she guided the engineers to the tunnel entrance. One by one, they followed her toward safety. Red Scale's scales had turned a color no one had seen before. "Your beast? Your dog. She's not just trained. She understands. She thinks. She loves," Miller corrected gently. "That's what makes all the difference." The emergency medical bay buzzed with activity as doctors checked the 4 rescued engineers. Lucy, still in her protective suit, but with her mask now removed, sat patiently while the ship's doctor looked her over for any signs of radiation exposure. "All readings normal," Dr. Tom announced, patting Lucy's head. The suit did its job perfectly. High Commander Red Scale stood in the doorway, watching as Lucy went from engineer to engineer, gently nudging their hands for pets. Each rescued crew member smiled, some with tears in their eyes, as they thanked their 4-legged savior. "I've seen battle-hardened warriors run from danger," Red Scale said quietly to Captain Miller. "Yet your Lucy ran toward it without hesitation." "That's what makes dogs special," Miller replied. "They love so completely that they'll face any danger to protect their family." The young alien soldier who had first played with Lucy stepped closer to watch as she received a treat from one of the engineers. But how did she know what to do? How did she understand they needed help? "Dogs can read human emotions better than most humans can," Dr. Tom explained, putting away his medical scanner. "They know when we're scared or hurt. Lucy's special training just gives her the tools to act on her natural instinct to help." Through the medical bay window, they could see alien crew members gathering, trying to catch a glimpse of the heroic dog. Word had spread quickly through both ships about Lucy's rescue mission. "The maintenance tunnel she found." One of the rescued engineers spoke up, his voice still raspy. "We didn't even know it was there. She didn't just save us. She found a way none of us would have fought to look for." Red Scale's scales shifted to a new color, one that seemed to shimmer with multiple shades. "On our world, we build bigger weapons to fight predators. We never imagined." He paused, watching Lucy gently lick the hand of the youngest engineer. "We never imagined that what we feared most could become our greatest protector." Lucy, hearing the emotion in his voice, walked over to the alien commander. She sat in front of him, looking up with soft brown eyes, and lifted her paw. The entire medical bay went quiet. Slowly, carefully, Red Scale knelt down. His scaled hand dwarfed Lucy's paw, but she waited patiently until he took it in a gentle handshake. "In all my years of commanding," Red Scale said, his voice rough with emotion, "I've given hundreds of medals for bravery. But never have I seen such simple, pure courage." The young alien soldier couldn't contain himself any longer. "Commander, our laws about predatory species. Surely after this." "Yes." Red Scale stood, his scales now glowing with a decisive blue light. "Captain Miller, I need to send a message to the Greater Union Council. What happened here today changes everything we thought we knew about predator species, about cooperation, about trust." Lucy had moved to the medical bay's entrance, where she barked softly at something. They turned to see more alien crew members in the hallway, each holding something. "Are those treats?" Miller asked, trying not to laugh. The young soldier looked embarrassed. "We may have read about dog treats in your ship's database. Our food synthesizers have been working for the last hour to make some that would be safe for her." Lucy's tail wagged faster, her nose twitching at the new smells. "Well," Miller smiled, "I suppose she's earned them." Lucy, gentle, with perfect manners, Lucy approached the alien crew members. One by one, they got to experience the joy of giving a treat to a dog and receiving a gentle lick of thanks in return. "Captain," Red Scale said, watching the scene with wonder, "when we first detected Lucy on our scans, we thought we found a dangerous beast on your ship. And now—" The alien commander's scales rippled with something that might have been a smile. "Now I understand why your kind reached the stars. Not because you conquered the predators of your world, but because you learned to see past your fears and find friendship in unexpected places." Lucy returned to Miller's side, sitting proudly despite her eventful day. A hero's work was never done, but belly rubs and treats made it all worthwhile. And in the happy chaos of the medical bay, no one noticed the small device in Red Scale's hand, quietly recording everything. Soon, the Greater Union would learn about dogs, and nothing in the galaxy would ever be quite the same again. 2 days after the rescue, the Star Wanderer's recreation area had become an unlikely classroom. High Commander Red Scale stood with his senior officers, watching as Captain Miller demonstrated Lucy's daily training routine. "The key is consistency," Miller explained, holding up a bright yellow ball. "Lucy, stay." Lucy sat perfectly still, her eyes fixed on the ball, but she didn't move. A group of alien crew members watched in amazement. "Even though she wants the ball very much," Miller continued, "she waits for permission. This is how we teach impulse control. Lucy, come." Lucy bounded forward, caught the ball in midair, and brought it back proudly. "Remarkable," Red Scale's second-in-command muttered. "Complete control over predatory instincts." The young soldier who had first befriended Lucy raised his hand like a student. "But how do you start?" "With a young. What did you call them?" "Puppies," Miller smiled. "And we start with love. Always with love." Dr. Tom had set up a screen showing videos of puppy training. The aliens crowded around, making soft sounds of surprise at the sight of tiny, clumsy puppies learning their first commands. "They're so small," one alien officer whispered. "Not scary at all." "That's the thing about dogs," Miller said, watching Lucy show off her trick of balancing a treat on her nose. "They can be both gentle and strong, playful and serious. They adapt to what we need them to be." Red Scale's scales flickered thoughtfully. "Like the therapy sessions I observed yesterday. The dog knew which crew members needed quiet comfort and which ones wanted to play." "Emotional intelligence," Dr. Tom nodded. "Dogs can sense human emotions and respond appropriately. Some scientists think they evolved specifically to understand us." Lucy, having finished her demonstration, trotted over to the ship's cook who had just entered with her dinner. The aliens gathered to watch her eating routine, fascinated by her polite manners. "She even eats with discipline," Red Scale observed. "Not like the wild hunters on our world." The young soldier, who everyone now knew as Junior Officer Blue Crest, had been taking detailed notes on his datapad. "Commander, according to the human database, there are many different types of dogs. Some for hunting, some for rescue, some just for companionship." "Breeds," Miller corrected gently. "Yes, humans develop different dog breeds for different purposes. Lucy is a golden retriever, a breed known for their gentle nature and intelligence." As if to demonstrate, Lucy finished her dinner and brought her empty bowl to the cook, tail wagging proudly at completing another task perfectly. "Captain," Red Scale said suddenly, "my superiors at the Greater Union Council have reviewed my reports. They've approved a cultural exchange program." The room went quiet. They want to learn more about Earth dogs, Red Scale continued, his scales shifting to excited colors. Specifically, they're interested in therapy and rescue training programs. They believe it could revolutionize our emergency response systems. Miller grinned. Are you saying the Greater Union wants puppies? Under strict supervision, of course, Red Scale added quickly, trying to maintain his official tone. But his scales had turned a happy shade of pink. We would need trained handlers, proper facilities, and extensive cultural education. And lots of treats, Blue Crest added, then looked embarrassed. For training purposes, of course. Lucy, sensing the excitement in the room, brought her favorite rope toy to Red Scale. The alien commander, who just days ago had seen her as a dangerous beast, didn't hesitate to take the other end. Gentle, Miller reminded him, but he needn't have worried. Red Scale played tug-of-war as if he'd been doing it all his life. You know, Dr. Tom said thoughtfully, watching the alien commander play with Lucy, this could be the start of something big. Dogs helped humans evolve socially. Maybe they can do the same for other species. Miller watched as more aliens joined in the games, each wanting to learn proper play techniques. Lucy, happy to be the center of attention, showed infinite patience with her new friends. From feared predator to galactic ambassador, Miller chuckled. Not bad for a good girl from Earth. Lucy barked in agreement, then went back to teaching a group of alien officers the proper way to throw a frisbee. The universe, it seemed, was about to go to the dogs. And that was going to make it a much better place. 1 month after the first contact between the Star Wanderer and the Greater Union, the Grand Hall of the Union Council buzzed with excitement. Hundreds of alien dignitaries filled the massive purple crystal chamber, all waiting for the historic announcement. High Commander Red Scale stood at the podium, his scales gleaming with formal colors. Beside him stood Captain Miller, and at Miller's feet sat Lucy, wearing a specially made formal vest with both human and Greater Union symbols. Honored council members, Red Scale began, his voice carrying through the hall. 1 month ago, I nearly started a war because I saw a dog on a human ship. Today, I stand before you to admit I was wrong about everything we thought we knew about predator species. The crowd murmured. Lucy's tail wagged gently at the sound. This is Lucy, Red Scale continued, gesturing down. She has saved lives. She has shown kindness to strangers. She has taught us that strength does not require violence, and that ancient fears can be overcome with understanding. On the massive screens behind him, videos began playing. Lucy rescuing the engineers, Lucy helping with therapy sessions, Lucy teaching alien crew members how to play fetch. Therefore, Red Scale's scales shifted to the formal gold of official proclamations. I present the Council's new law, the Interspecies Companion Initiative. The hall erupted in excited whispers. Miller smiled, remembering how hard Red Scale had worked to make this happen. Under this law, Red Scale continued, Earth dogs are officially recognized as specialized support beings rather than predatory creatures. A new training facility will be built on our capital world, where human trainers will help us understand and work with these remarkable animals. Lucy barked once, right on cue. Several council members jumped, then laughed at their own reaction. But more than just changing our laws, Red Scale's voice softened. We must change our hearts. For too long, we saw teeth and claws and assumed we knew what that meant. We forgot to look deeper, to see the capacity for love and loyalty that can exist in unexpected forms. Junior Officer Blue Crest, newly promoted to head of the Companion Animal Program, stepped forward with a small box. Inside was a medal, the Greater Union's highest honor for peaceful service. Lucy, Red Scale knelt down, not caring that such an informal gesture shocked the traditionalists in the crowd. For your courage, your wisdom, and for showing us a better way, we name you first ambassador of the Interspecies Companion Initiative. He carefully placed the medal on Lucy's vest. She responded by giving him a gentle lick on his scaled hand, making him laugh. The first Earth dogs will arrive next month. Blue Crest announced to the crowd. 50 puppies, specially chosen for therapy and rescue work. They will be the beginning of a new era of cooperation between our peoples. The screens changed to show the newly built training facility. Perfect green lawns, obstacle courses, and play areas designed for both dogs and aliens to learn together. But most importantly, Miller added, speaking for the first time, they will bring something your people have never had before: unconditional friendship from another species. Lucy stood up and wagged her tail at the crowd. One by one, the council members began to applaud, a human gesture they had learned for the occasion. Later, in a quiet moment before the formal celebrations began, Red Scale found Miller in the garden outside the council hall. Lucy was playing with a group of young aliens, teaching them the proper way to give belly rubs. "Do you know what the best part is?" Red Scale asked, his scales shifting to comfortable colors. "Yesterday, my youngest daughter asked for a puppy." Miller laughed. And I said yes." Red Scale's scales turned slightly pink. "But don't tell anyone. I have a reputation to maintain." "Your secret is safe with me," Miller grinned, "though you might want to hide those dog training manuals in your quarters better." They watched as Lucy showed infinite patience with her new friends, her tail never stopping its happy wagging. "You humans have a saying," Red Scale said softly, "about dogs being man's best friend." "We do." "Perhaps," the alien commander mused, watching his people learn to play and laugh with a creature they once feared. "It's time to change that saying. Dogs, it seems, can be everyone's best friend." Lucy barked happily in agreement. After all, more friends just meant more belly rubs, and that was something any dog could support. The universe had changed because a dog wagged her tail instead of growling. Sometimes, that's all the wisdom anyone needs.